Hello, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about the American serial killer Thomas Whisenhant. If I pronounce any names wrong, I do apologize. Thomas Warren Whisenhant was born on January 29th, 1947 in Pritchard, Alabama, the fourth of four children born to Willie and Emma Whisenhant. He was born into a low-income family which was ruled by his mother, who was described as domineering. She would frequently attack her husband, who was physically weak and an alcoholic. She also encouraged her children to attack him. Whisenhant shared a bed with his mother until the age of 7. He continued to share the same bedroom with her until the age of 16. According to a psychologist, Whisenhant resented her. Whisenhant's father would regularly get drunk on moonshine and often tried to seduce his wife, who would always reject him. The couple constantly argued, with Whisenhant's mother frequently attacking his father. She reserved her anger and abuse only for her husband and instead spoiled Whisenhant, whom she was overprotective of. By his teenage years, Whisenhant was accompanied by his mother constantly, who never let him out of her sight. Whisenhant became moody in his early teens and turned violent, according to his sister. On May 16, 1963, 72-year-old Lexi Haynes, a widow, was shot and killed in Pritchard. Police arrived at the murder scene and found the murder weapon in an empty lot next to Whisenhant's family home. Whisenhant, who was 16 at the time, was an instant suspect, as he had recently been charged with robbing a blind woman. According to a retired Pritchard police captain, the robbery charge for Whisenhant was later thrown out of court due to a technicality. Police questioned Whisenhant about the murder. However, his family provided him with an alibi and claimed he had been at home when the shooting occurred. Before the shooting occurred, Whisenhant and his friends had been playing with a stolen pistol. A witness later said Whisenhant had taken a bullet from the revolver and stated it would kill somebody. Police later revealed Haynes had spoken with Whisenhant about his behavior, which was the reason they suspected he killed her. However, for unknown reasons, Whisenhant was never brought to trial for the murder of Haynes. Following the shooting, Whisenhant joined the United States Air Force as an airman. He was stationed at ENT Air Force Base near Colorado Springs, Colorado. On October 25, 1965, Whisenhant attacked 22-year-old Rose Covington, a United States Air Force WAF. He beat her unconscious with a metal ashtray in the finance office of ENT Air Force Base. Covington suffered severe head and facial injuries and was hospitalized for only 2 months. At Whisenhant's trial, she testified she had never met him and did not even know what he looked like. An FBI laboratory expert tested that shoe prints left at the crime scene matched Whisenhant's. Whisenhant continued to deny the attack, but was ultimately convicted of attempted murder. On March 14, 1966, Whisenhant was convicted of attempted murder and was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison. He was also dishonorably discharged from the Air Force. Whisenhant initially served his sentence at Fort Carson before being transferred to an unenclosed federal prison to serve the remainder of his sentence. In 1970, Whisenhant's sentence was reduced to 10 years. And on November 28, 1973, he was granted parole. On November 21, 1975, nearly 2 years after being granted parole, Whisenhant attacked 28-year-old Patricia Hitt, a mother of 2. Hitt worked in a convenience store in Mobile County, Alabama. Whisenhant approached her, then beat and murdered her. He killed her with a fatal gunshot wound to the head. Police later found her body in the same store she worked in. Initially, 2 other men were arrested for the crime. On April 16, 1976, Whisenhant kidnapped and murdered another female convenience store clerk in Mobile, 44-year-old Verona Hyatt. Whisenhant kidnapped Hyatt from the convenience store and took her to an old house that was covered with kudzu vines. Whisenhant murdered Hyatt and dumped her body near an abandoned shack in Mobile. The following day, he returned to the crime scene and mutilated Hyatt's body. He then took Hyatt's wristwatch, which he later gave to his wife as a present. On October 16, 1976, Whisenhant abducted 23-year-old Cheryl Lynn Payton a convenience store clerk who worked at a compact store in Mobile County. Whisenhant kidnapped her at gunpoint and drove her to a remote wooded area, where he raped her in the front seat of his pickup truck. He then killed her by fatally shooting her in the head with a .32 caliber pistol. He dragged her body into nearby woods, where he left it to rot before fleeing the scene. On October 17th, Whisenhant returned to the crime scene and mutilated Peyton's body. He cut off a large part of her breast and slashed her abdomen. However, he was spotted near the crime scene, and after a chase, he was captured by police. During his interrogation, he gave a detailed confession to all of his crimes. Not only did he confess to murdering Peyton and mutilating her body, but he also admitted to murdering both Hitt and Hyatt in the months prior. He later admitted to murdering Haynes during his teenage years. Whisenhant also confessed to the assault of Covington and attacking 2 other women, including his wife. He did claim, however, that the only victim he raped was Peyton. Whisenhant's killings generated attention and publicity in the Mobile area. As such, his trial was moved to Birmingham on August 1st, 1977. His trial for the murder of Peyton began. Whisenhant pleaded that he was innocent by reason of insanity. On August 9th, the jury found Whisenhant guilty of capital murder. On September 7th, he was sentenced to death. In September 1977, the son of Hyatt, 26-year-old Kenneth Lynn Curry, kidnapped and robbed a taxi driver. He later claimed he committed the crime so he could go to prison and avenge his mother's death by killing Whisenhant. Whisenhant's original conviction was later reversed by the Alabama Court of Criminal Appeals, resulting in him being retried in 1981. He was retried and convicted once again. The conviction was upheld. However, his death sentence was overturned due to a remark made by the prosecutor during the sentencing phase of his trial. A new hearing was held, and in 1987, Whisenhant was sentenced to death again. Whisenhant avoided execution for more than 3 decades due to successful appeals and prosecution trial error. In November 2009, Assistant Attorney General Clay Crenshaw filed a motion asking for Supreme Court of Alabama to set an execution date for Whisenhant. He was scheduled for execution on May 27, 2010. On May 27, 2010, Whisenhant was executed via lethal injection at Holman Correctional Facility in Escambia County, Alabama. His last meal consisted of chicken leg quarters, French fries, American cheese, orange drink, coffee, and chocolate pudding. He declined to make a final statement. Whisenhant spent 32 years, 8 months, and 20 days on death row, which at the time was longer than any other prisoner had ever spent on death row in Alabama. Thank you for listening. If you like this type of content, please consider subscribing and liking my channel, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you for listening. If you like this type of content, please consider subscribing and liking my channel, and I will see you on the next one.